All right, everybody, what is going on? It is your boy Shil Nye, as always, and today I'm super excited to sit down with the team of NurseToken. So, as you guys all know, I've been talking about NurseToken online a little bit. Wrote a good little review on what they're trying to build and what their vision is with what they are building. And then you also saw that I attended a pretty cool event in Los Angeles with the NurseToken team. First off, thank you guys for inviting me to that event. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, this is a project that I've had my eyes on, and I believe has a lot of potential. So let's just get started with some basic introductions. How you guys doing today?
Great, thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. So you guys want to just each go through and kind of introduce yourself in 1 or 2 minutes max, and then we can go from there.
Sure. I'm Cherie Kloss, CEO of NurseToken, and in the medical industry, working as an anesthetist for 18 years. Also have a 10-year history in the executive producing television. No, two random, very different careers, but they seem to work hand in hand in terms of helping marketing, help to market NurseToken, and also create buzz around our other core business, which is called SnapNurse. Basically, we're based in Atlanta, Georgia, and also have an office in San Francisco. We're a blockchain credentialing company that with 3,000 nurses in our core company called SnapNurse, which is an on-demand platform to book nurses, like an Uber for nurses. And that's an already existing business here in Atlanta. And we have the same team that built Snap, Marcio, who's the CTO of SnapNurse, and also it's building our NurseToken platform as well. And Jeff Richards here, who runs SnapNurse as COO, and Josh Clayton, who runs NurseToken as COO. And so I'll let them give a little background on themselves as well.
Go first? Sure, I'll go first. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for SnapNurse, and so I worked also as an anesthetist for 20 years, and Sri and I actually went to school together many years ago. And then I worked at Grady Hospital for my entire 20-year career and was the director of anesthesia for the last 10 years, and ran into many headaches with staffing and dealt with staffing agencies and all the limitations that they bring to the table. And partnered with Cherie after she had initially founded SnapNurse, and then went through a meteoric rise with acquiring clients. We now have over 25 clients here in Atlanta and a number of clients out in Los Angeles as well, and we're scaling rapidly. And as we went through that process, ran into probably the biggest bottleneck for onboarding the nurses fast enough is credentialing. And that became the genesis for the idea behind NurseToken, to use the blockchain to enable credentialing to be done, portions of it to be done once and only once, and then have the trustability and transparency, security that blockchain offers to initially to help SnapNurse grow, and then realizing that NurseToken and a credentialing platform like this is something that can be a global offering to help address the nursing shortage worldwide.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Edwin Marcial. I'm the CTO for SnapNurse and NurseToken, and I've been working with the team, Cherie and Jeff and Josh, everybody, for about a little less than a year now. I was founding CTO of a company called Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, which this company started here in Atlanta about 20 years ago. It's a small company, started with 5 people. That company has grown to about 6,000 people today. It's the biggest financial market in the world. A couple of years ago, we acquired the New York Stock Exchange. And after 18 years of building and growing that company, decided to try some other things and do something else. And I left a few years ago. And since then, I've been working with different early stage startup companies and as an advisor, investor, and builder of software companies or software platforms for those companies. And was introduced to SnapNurse actually by Josh, who's going to introduce himself in a minute, and put together a team to build out that original platform and delivered that. And now we're working on the NurseToken platform.
Sweet.
Hey guys, Josh Clayton. I'm a lawyer based in Dallas and Atlanta, and I've been working closely with Cherie and the whole Snap Nurse team for about a year and a half now. Been really involved and interested in investing, participating in the crypto world for a little over a year at this point, and it's been exciting to try to put together NurseToken and meet all the people we've met along the way, and also get closer and closer to having a top-notch blockchain product that solves a lot of problems. So good to be here today, and thanks for having us.
Of course, Josh. Of course, glad to have all you guys on here. I mean, I think it's important. Like, one of the main things that I talk about on my channel is transparency. So I think it's really cool that you guys are all on here showing face and sharing a little bit about yourselves. And let's dive into NurseToken. So I know you touched on it a little bit, like what the purpose of NurseToken is, what the problem you guys are solving. But can you just like summarize that for our audience one more time? Just what is the issue that NurseToken is solving, and why is this issue important? Why is it relevant?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we have a core business called Snap Nurse, and it's basically a very large nurse agency business that's tech enabled. And as a result, every single week we have to credential nurses from start to finish, getting them ready to be able to work and get approved at various hospitals and centers. And the process is very grueling. It can take anywhere from a week to sometimes 3 months, depending on how complicated their work history is, and how hard it is to verify their education, verify personal references, getting back to us. These verifications are multiple. I mean, we have work verification, personal verifications, and we have a whole list here on our wall here of like 99 pieces of information that you need. And unfortunately for nurses, every time they go to a different agency or they go to a different hospital, even a hospital within the same hospital system, they have to do that whole credentialing process again. And it can really not only prevent a nurse from working in multiple centers, but really make it expensive for hospitals as well, as each time they have to do all the verifications and getting malpractice verifications, and even sometimes buying malpractice insurance if they want to work independently. It can cost anywhere from like $250 to $750 to credential a nurse from start to finish. So it's a very lengthy process, and it's a very expensive process. And we hope to solve this issue and help decrease the pain points for both nurses and hospitals by placing your credentials in a trusted platform as a blockchain platform, so that hospitals don't have to do the whole process over again, and nurses can carry their credentials in a portable way. They can go from place to place with using and accessing the blockchain credentialing platform. And also hospitals can reduce their costs by accessing the platform directly and having nurses already queued up and ready to go, saving lots of time and lots of money. So by using the current technology, we hope to ease the pain points of getting nurses out there to be able to work on demand, by allowing them to have these credentials essentially fully updated at a moment's notice and accessible, which really create a on-demand, ready-to-work gig economy for nurses that is truly can be and will be global. As you know, many of these nurses are traveling from country to country. Filipino nurses are traveling to the US and the UK and the UAE. You have Indian nurses and Nigerian nurses all going to different countries. And the nurse agency business is actually booming right now because of the shortage. So allowing a gold standard, or creating a gold standard by which global nurses around the world can upload their credentials and allow countries to access the credentials and hire them through the platform is going to revolutionize the way, revolutionize the world of nursing, and also help hospitals fill desperately needed shifts.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. You know, I think most of the people that were commenting and talking about it, a NurseToken, when I posted my review, most of them are from the US, so they only have that perspective in mind when they were making comments or inquiries about what NurseToken does or how it's going to work. But I think what you just touched on there is really important. People, nurses from India traveling to the Philippines and things like that. And also the second fact that I want to make is like you guys have experience in this field. Like you guys already have a full-blown startup, a full-blown established business, not even a startup, a full established business that's been working and functioning. And can you just touch on that a little bit and share with the audience a little bit about like what that has to do with your with the inspiration behind NurseToken?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll take that one. So one is I had sort of touched on it a little bit in the beginning, just that SnapNurse is growing really quickly, and a lot of that's predicated upon a nursing shortage, which is other parts of the world like Japan and the UK, where it is also as severe or worse. And then we are all looking at essentially a 7 to 10 year time horizon where it's going to be increasingly more challenging to the shortage will increase. And that's effectively the retirement of baby boomers. Here in the United States and other countries, it's an aging population, so it's similar. But essentially, SnapNurse grew quite quickly because the demand is there, this need to fill shifts and access supplemental staffing, which agencies currently fill. But the bottleneck, as I mentioned, is credentialing because of that multi-step process. And one of the things I wanted to mention was we, as an agency, SnapNurse is about to get reviewed by the Joint Commission. And for anyone who doesn't know what the Joint Commission is, it's a little bit like the SEC. So I wanted to make that analogy just mostly because Edwin is here, but also in the sense that most people don't know what the Joint Commission is, or that there's a regulatory agency that oversees hospitals, agencies, and staffing in general, and that dictate how credentialing is done. And we've had conversations with them, and a lot of it surrounding that credentialing is often either done incorrectly, and many times that leads to the repetitive nature that credentialing has to be done over and over, and they constantly oversee agencies and hospitals and are witnessing to the mistakes that are made or the incompleteness of a file that a nurse might have, and that the blockchain offers an opportunity to credential a nurse correctly the first time, and then that result is immutable and available on the blockchain, specifically for certain types of it, certainly work verification, education verification, background checks, licensure, steps that are done over and over, and they wholeheartedly support this project, which is super exciting for us. One, they're coming to our offices in about 2 weeks to review SnapNurse, and will be part of these ongoing conversations for NurseToken. And they're excited to see a company taking this on and changing the way credentialing is done, and then making it available certainly in the United States, but also across the world.
We're hoping to bring someone from that agency or affiliated with the JACO, they call it agency, onto our board, as well as another person affiliated with the AAA governing board, which is over the surgery centers in the US. So NurseToken will adhere to a high standard, and it's a standard that I believe the world will also respect and know that this nurse truly is a nurse, and they're qualified according to what's in their credentialing file.
There are hospitals outside of the United States that seek Joint Commission certification. There are hospitals in Saudi Arabia that do that. There are hospitals in South America that do that. And much of that is because of medical tourism that either from the United States or UK or other European countries, they want to know that that regulatory agency in the United States has also reviewed that hospital. So it's increasingly common that the Joint Commission inspects hospitals outside of the United States and wants them to be at that standard. So it just helps, point the direction of the future, that creating something that works here in this country and then is exportable to the entire world and is going to meet the regulatory standards that the Joint Commission sets.
That's awesome. That's really important, because that's like the main question that I had. It's the main question that a lot of my audience had when I first started talking about NurseToken on my social profiles, was like, what is the regulation behind this? And yeah, it's a fantastic idea. It's a fantastic concept, but are there regulatory issues behind it? Is it going to be challenging to do that? And that's kind of the main thing that I wanted to really touch on, is like, is this a challenge that you guys are facing? It seems like you guys have some really good compliance with these regulatory places right now. So is it still an issue you guys are tackling? Have you begun the discussions around it? And are there any other issues that are, like, you see are like a major thing that you have to face as your journey of building this continues?
Well, the shortage is driving a lot of the regulation right now. For example, there's a new movement in the U.S. called the Compact State Licensure that was enacted a few years back. Georgia just joined it in January, which allows a nurse to work in multiple states using the same license. So a Georgia nurse can work in like 21 different states in the U.S. So they can be more portable and to help fill empty shifts and empty gaps in other states without having to go through the very lengthy state licensure requirements. It is definitely going to take the involvement of some governments, and we are actually in talks with. We had dinner and a meeting with the Filipino consulate, and we're really working very hard to establish a standard that's even a standard for that particular country. So within the whole platform, globally, 90% of the nurses' credentials, all the same experience, all the general data, what school they go to, all those things are 90% the same. And that last 10% will vary depending on what country and also what hospital wants to hire them. Because some hospitals also have a few different things that are different from other hospitals. For example, the Kaiser Hospital system's credentialing is a little bit more robust than some other maybe smaller surgery centers. So that 10% though, however long that last 10% takes, 90% will be sped up by the NurseToken platform. So we're definitely going to speed up the process and help nurses all around the world to find work wherever the need is greatest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really good to hear that you guys are already in discussions with people and that's already on your radar. I mean, obviously it should be. So that's good to hear you guys are already a few steps ahead of the game there. Yeah. So what kind of stages are you in right now? Where are you guys at? What's the next plan? And yeah, what's the roadmap look like over the next 6 months?
Yeah, I wanted to let Edwin kind of talk about a little bit about his views on healthcare or blockchain in general, and then I'll kind of go through a roadmap of what we have.
Perfect.
That's kind of what we talked about the lunch.
Yeah, sure. But I think when you think about why you need credentialing and why there's regulatory agencies around it, is there's a lot of it's really about trusting the data, right? So that's one of the biggest. Trust the nurse if she's coming to work into your hospital or facility. If you're a regulator, that's what you're trying to establish as well. And I think that's the key thing that blockchain really brings. Obviously, you have the security aspects of the data is encrypted, and then the other aspect of it is that it's immutable, so that you can trust that given that you've done all this background checks, all these data points are in there, they haven't been changed, they haven't been tampered with, no one's adjusted them. And that's what the blockchain gives you, is that level of trust. And there's a lot of people trying to fit blockchain into a lot of different applications, but I think this one is one where it's really well suited for it. So between security, the trust factor, the shared ledger, as well as then you have the kind of reward aspect. You can incentivize people to go and nurses to go and put their information on it, which is another challenge, is making sure that data is always, it's not just like a one-time thing, it's constantly changing. So if you can create a platform that has those aspects of trust and security, then I think you can really have an opportunity to potentially dominate that space. And you have all these other entities that'll kind of can rally around it. And so I think that's why to us blockchain seems like the right platform for this problem. In terms of roadmap, you want to
Love it.
Yeah, Clayton, you want to address the roadmap?
Sure. Yeah, I think we've from the beginning tried to prioritize the technology piece of the company and not necessarily focus on just getting a token or just getting a large fundraise done or trying to get on a bunch of exchanges. We've always been focused on the product, and that grew out of the real need that we had in our sister business with SnapNurse around credentialing that's been discussed earlier. So yeah, we the roadmap is already progressing well, and now with Edwin kind of jumping in more full force, we should be in great position to deliver a product, hopefully, if not late this year, early next year, and then start to sign up facilities and see some big movement.
I think that adds more to that. I mean, we're basically just finishing up the high-level design right now. There was another prototype that was done that we kind of threw away and kind of went back to the drawing board, but with some lessons that we learned, and so we're focusing now on building a new platform. So we have a whole new high-level design that's kind of just finishing up, and then we're going to be moving into really the development phase. And it's a couple of aspects. I mean, we're building a full-fledged credential system that's going to be key there is going to be it's going to be easy to use, and it's got, even though we're going to have blockchain as a piece of it, a component in the back end, on the front end it's going to look like any other enterprise web-based platform, mobile platform that you see today, that's user-friendly, easy to use, that's intimidating, that anybody can kind of get in and use it. But on the back end, there'll be the blockchain aspect of it as well. So it's really it's one big system. It's a enterprise architecture traditional system on the front end, and then a blockchain piece on the side that provides all those things we talked about, trustability and security.
Perfect, fantastic. So is there anything else you guys want to lay out to the audience, tell them about NurseToken before we kind of wrap things up here?
Well, I guess right now we're not planning on doing an ICO. It's a pure private raise, so just that is something that we have we're in a very delicate environment that we want to just make sure we're always above board in terms of SEC regulations and things like that. So right now we're shifting to a pure private raise and the accredited investors. So in that sense, we're just really wanting to educate the public on the product and get people excited and to rally behind it in terms of hospitals, facilities, nurses, getting people to rally behind having a true and real blockchain product. I think in today's kind of blockchain frenzy, and I've been all around the world talking about NurseToken, so I know there's a lot of frenzy around it, and some of it is real, and a lot of it is phony. So I would like to be one of the first real blockchain solutions out there that is actually in business and conducting real transactions to make it more valid. So I would say keep an eye on us for being one of the pioneers in healthcare blockchain, because I think we know this space really well, and if we know exactly how to tackle this problem, and blockchain itself is a very new frontier, so we're going to tackle it piece by piece, and we'll start with some small connections with blockchain technology, and then expand as the blockchain world and technology matures. And so I would say root for us, because we're out there to really build a real company, and hope to get that out by 2019.
Nice. That's awesome. No, I think what you touched on there is really important. That's one of the things that really attracted me to NurseToken when it was first brought to me. One of the guys I work with said, "Hey, you got to check out this project. They're actually doing something that solves something that's actually real. There's actually a real world use case for this. There's actually a relevancy to implement blockchain technology into the sector, into this area." So yeah, I'm rooting for you guys. I congratulate you on how far you've come so far, and I'm excited to see where you guys are going in the future.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, I want to say thanks, Shilnai. It was fun to meet you out in LA and do the party and experience all the hype. But the opportunity to have this, serious and substantive conversation through an interview like this gives us a chance to really articulate the vision of what we're trying to do. And I'm just grateful that you, took the opportunity to interview us today. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem, brother. No problem. I think it's really important that everybody meets the team. You know what I mean? I met you guys in person, face to face, but it's really important that everybody else who I've been talking to the project about gets to meet you guys, as well as just kind of hear the answers to their questions straight from your mouth. So I'm glad we were able to jump on this. Thanks for taking the time, guys.
Thanks a lot.
And right before we wrap up here, you guys just want to share where people can learn more about NurseToken, where they can follow some of your announcements and things like that?
Sure. Go to our website, nursetoken.io. We also have a Twitter and as well as a Telegram group, and it's NurseToken group.
That's right, NurseToken group.
There's other fake ones out there, but ours is actually NurseToken group.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'll have the links in the description below of all of that stuff as well, so you find the real ones and not the fake ones. But yeah, guys, again, thank you so much for coming on. And as always, for everybody who's watching, it's your boy Shilnai. Glad everybody tuned in, and we'll catch you next time.